Okay. So.
Make sure to subscribe.
Yes, that would be his favorite. So very first YouTube video, hoping for it to be about 15-20 minutes, give or take. And as is my life, there's a lot of real life going on in the background. So this isn't going to be like your usual tranquil yoga flow. It's just, real life. So, if something does interrupt, whatever you've got going on, I apologize. But I hope that you can still flow with me. Okay. Make sure I got this all on. And hopefully you can hear me okay. I haven't quite figured that part out yet either. So, we're working with it. So we'll actually start laying on our bellies. I'm going to try to keep my face turned towards the camera as much as I can so that you can hear me better. So that's why I said I hope that you can actually hear me the whole way through. But starting out on your stomach, to make this more comfortable, you can place stacked hands on the ground underneath your forehead. And just kind of settle in and notice the way that your body naturally falls when you're laying like this. Like the tops of my feet are flat on the ground, but my heels are turned outward. And if I were laying forehead down, which is how I'd like you to lay, you can notice how your spine feels with that slight incline at the top of your back. And then with your head on your stacked hands, flex your toes. So you've got toes on the ground, heels pointed up, and try to get some length on the back side of your body. From your neck all the way down the backs of your legs to the soles of your feet. You could even rock your feet, heels back and forth. And then bring your elbows just below your armpits, hands out in front of you, and point your toes. And we're in what's called Sphinx. You're just feeling this, instead of being straight along our body, slightly inclined in the back. And bring your hands out, 45-degree angle. Place your fingertips on the ground. If you'd like, you could stay in Sphinx with your hands out in front. But you'll make like a tent with your fingers and your hands, and then raise your body up, finding seal. And really reach your head up. Bend your knees, trying to bring your toes closer to your shoulders or your head.
Male Harley Quinn videos.
Finding that bend in your low back. And then gently lower that down. Back to Sphinx. Back to Sleeping Cobra. And flex your toes. Really stretch out all the bending we just did. Straightening that out. So you can rock your heels back and forth, moving your body in different directions, up and down. And then again, elbows under the armpits for Sphinx. Point your toes. Draw your head towards the ceiling. And I can already kind of feel my body tensing up as I'm trying to get the most stretch possible out of this. And that's not the point. It's what my body naturally goes to, but that's not the point. And bring your hands out to a 45-degree angle, making that fingertip tent with your hands. Reach reaching the top of your head closer to the ceiling, bending your knees, bringing your toes closer to your shoulders or your head. And again, not looking for the most stretch, just a different stretch. Then lowering your arms and your feet back down, back to Sphinx, back to Sleeping Cobra. We'll do this one more time. Flex your toes, rock back and forth. Back to Sphinx, point your toes. And then seal, bringing your toes up as close as they can to your head or your shoulders. Again, relaxing, don't be too tense. We're not going for maximum stretch. Back down to Sleeping Cobra. And then coming back up to Sphinx, bend your right leg and just find a way that you can actually reach back and grab your ankle, top of your foot, your toes, your shin, whatever you can grab. I have my hand, my left arm kind of bent in front of me. I don't know how to explain that in a straight line. I'm just drawing my foot closer to the ground, stretching my quads, that front side of my right leg, and then grabbing onto my shin, lifting that leg off the ground just slightly, and letting that go, and then go to the other side, bending your left leg, and draw your foot closer to the ground to stretch out your quad, the front, top of your left leg. And then grabbing your shin and pulling that leg off the ground just slightly. If you find yourself tensing, find a way to relax into this. If it hurts, then you're stretching too much. And back down. Good job. And then we'll do that again on the right side. Bending the knee, pressing onto the top of the foot. And then changing our grip, drawing that leg up just slightly. Feel that stretch along the left side of my torso, top of my leg, into my glutes, back down, switching to the other side. And then pulling that leg up off the ground. And if you like, you could tap your feet on the ground here, just let it all go. You could flex your toes, point your toes. So now back in Sphinx, bending the right leg again. Without grabbing it this time, just lift it off the ground. I know there's a name for this, like if you're in tabletop, on all fours. Just like a glute squat. I don't know what you would call it. Just right leg bent and lifting that leg off the ground just enough to get a bit of a crunch. Normal back and back down. And repeat that on the left side. If you're counting Did it 5 times on the right, do it 5 times on the left. Just little lifts. One more. Again, it's important to breathe while you're doing all of that. I usually don't cue the inhale, exhales, because I know that everybody breathes differently. But if you find yourself not breathing, please breathe. So now we'll do what's called floor bow. Lowering onto the ground, laying the tops of your arms and your hands on the ground. Bend your legs, reach for your ankles, lifting your legs off the ground, your chest off the ground. And getting that crunch in our mid-back, feeling all of that good stretching along the front of our body. Trying to keep your hips, your pelvis on the ground. And let that go. Back to sleeping cobra. Stacked hands under forehead. See if you can notice any differences in how your body might feel now that you've stretched it in a way that's different than what we do every other day. We don't normally arch our backs in that way, arch the back of our bodies. So how does laying on your stomach feel now than when you started? And then from here, find sphinx one more time. Again, elbows under the armpits. Tuck your toes and lift up for a forearm plank. You want your feet together. The more bone stacked you are, the easier this will be to hold. Not that plank is very easy to hold. Might feel your body shaking, and that's good. Some power and energy flowing through you. Bring your belly button to your spine. More core support. And then lean slightly to the left. Bring your right hand to the ground, left hand to the ground to find regular plank or push-up position. Again, spine or belly button to your spine. And that core strength will help you stay up. I know my body's shaking and my arms are definitely burning. And then from here, lift your hips up and back for our first down dog. And if you need, you could step in a little closer. And the goal is to try and bring your heels to the ground. Push your palms into the ground. I like to call it an earth triangle. All of this energy from equal points, our hands to our feet to our hips. You can walk your dog. Draw the left heel down to the ground. And then switch. Draw the right heel down to the ground. Bend the left knee. Switch. And switch. Could wag the dog. Hips from side to side. And then from here, lower down into dolphin, which is down dog, but with your elbows on the ground, kind of like our forearm plank, but with our hips up. You want your head to not touch the ground. Of course, if it does, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Really use that energy to push yourself up off the ground. Maybe you hate it, and that's okay. You can still appreciate it. And then letting that go, coming down onto your knees, pushing back into a child's position. Heels underneath you, arms out in front of you. It could be alongside if you would prefer. Whichever child's position you would like. If your knees close together are too uncomfortable for you, then you can widen them, bring them to the edges of your mat, and then lower down. Whatever will make this position feel more restful for you. And then slowly rise up. You could cat arch your back to reverse all of that bending we've done. Pushing all the way back into squat at the back of your mat. My feet are about hips width apart, and I'm all the way down on the ground. Maybe your squat doesn't look like that, even if your squat is, if this is more comfortable for you, that's fine. Whatever squat would benefit you the most. And extend your arms out in front of you. You take a slight twist here, leaving your left hand on the ground, bringing your right arm up overhead. And then do the opposite side, right hand on the ground, left hand up overhead. It's not really a twist, but a side bend. Alright, so from here we're going to go to the front of our mats, but you could either take, there's 3 different routes that I'm going to offer. A squat hop, so it's hands out in front, and then just a little frog hop. So, or if you're in squat, maybe hopping doesn't suit you, you could stand all the way back up and lift your right leg, step a little forward, lift your left leg, step a little forward. Or what I'm going to do is called creepers. My teacher Jillian does these. So if you're familiar with crow, you'll place the tops of your arms on your knees, wherever you can. And then leaning forward into your hands on the ground, just lift. Your toes don't even have to leave the ground, and you're still in crow, that's fine. That's all you do. But your toes can come off the ground with your knees on the tops of your arms. And then when you lower, you're a little bit further ahead, and we'll do that again. I think maybe one more. Get us closer to the front of the mat. Then when you find yourself at the front of the mat, you slowly come to standing. If you were already standing, take a forward fold. And then inhale, halfway, half lift, straightening your back. Inhale, create some space. Hey, I'll call you back. And then exhale, fold with all this new space that we've created. Let everything hang low. If you'd like, you can take opposite elbows.
I don't think he heard you.
Well, you can talk to him. That's fine.
Okay, let me go back.
And then on an inhale, sweep your arms out wide to the side, all the way up, hands meet at the top. What I call a sun breath.
I'm
lowering
going
your
to
hands
call
down.
him, okay?
Okay. Inhale one more time, big sun breath. And exhale all the way down.
Did I hit? I hit this.
The green call button, yes. And we'll do that one more time. Big sun breath in. Exhale, fold all the way down. Plant your hands and bend your knees. You can step back to a plank. Find this plank. One push-up. Inhale, drawing your body up. Legs on the ground for up dog.
Mommy's doing yoga, so she has to call you back.
And then tucking your toes. Coming
Bye.
into down dog. Lifting your hips up into the air. Stepping in a little bit if you need. Or maybe you're a little looser than before. Maybe your heels are closer to the ground this time.
Mama.
You can still walk your dog, wag your dog.
Mommy.
Yesy.
I accidentally called Daddy, and I forgot to put my headphones on, so I called him and he didn't hear anything, so he got confused.
And then we will lower from here down into dolphin, bringing your elbows down to the ground. Really feel the different stretching sensations. I notice it immediately in my calves. And then lower from here down into forearm plank. Your feet will probably have to slide back a little bit to adjust. And then let that go all the way down, back to sleeping cobra. You've done so much work. And it feels wonderful, I hope. And while you're here, you could take a half frog, draw your right knee up along the ground at a 90-degree angle. Not sure if you can see that at the camera angle I'm at. It's really stretching out the inside right thigh. And then bring that back to center and take that on the left side. And then back to center. If you would like to take full frog, you could come up to a tabletop position. If you don't, go ahead and take half frog again, raising up that right knee. If you're taking full frog from your tabletop position, just slowly slide your knees out to the side. And if you've taken half frog, go ahead and take the other side. And then you're in full, both knees out to the side. You don't have to go very low. I actually took this and somewhat regret it. I've already done this flow a couple times. I'm very open right now. And then coming back all the way down to the ground, out of that frog. You let that go. Tap your feet a little bit if you'd like. And then once more to the tabletop. You want your hands to be directly underneath your armpits or your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. And if you look back, you don't want to be able to see your feet. If you can, move them out of the way. And then we'll inhale our right arm up towards the sky and sweep it underneath, drawing it underneath our bodies, bringing that right shoulder as close to the ground as we can for thread the needle. Really getting a spinal twist here. And wringing out some of the work that we've done. And then bring that right arm back up and plant it back on the ground. We'll do that again on the left side. Left arm comes up and sweeps underneath, drawing all the way through, bending the right elbow as you need to find the ground. Just feel your breath here. And then back up to tabletop. And if there's any final shapes that you feel like you may need before we take Shavasana, you are more than welcome to do whatever you feel like you need to do to lie down comfortably. And for Shavasana, typically we lay on our backs in what's called corpse pose. But for this one, I'm going to stay on my stomach since that is where I began. And just allow your body to settle. If you need to make any adjustments, any wiggles, any things to work out some of the kinks that might still be there, please take those and do all of that. And get yourself as comfortable as you can on the ground. Just allowing the energy that you've cultivated to flow through, to go wherever it needs to go. Let your breath find a natural rhythm. Nothing forced here, everything with ease. And after moving our bodies, it's really nice to just let all of that settle so that all the work you've done can find its proper place. There's energy that doesn't belong with you, something that you've cultivated that needed to be worked out. It can go. You can let that go. You don't have to hold on to everything that you create, everything that finds its way to you. It's not all meant to be ours. And I invite you to stay here for as long as you feel like is necessary. Stay in Shavasana. I know the typical time is approximately 12 minutes. Of course, we didn't do a full, hour-long practice. But give yourself that time if you have the ability to. It feels really good. But for now, I bring my hands to Ajna Mudra, palms connected in front of me in prayer. I honor your life as my own. I thank you very much for coming to practice with me today. Namaste. Thank you. And I look forward to making many more of these in the future. Bye.